about you regardless of what you're doing. So stay focused, stay on your grind, and pay them the mind. Tell them what it is. Who cares what they want to say?
Hello, everybody, and welcome to my podcast. My name is Evangel. This is One Thing About Life. And on today's episode, I have a very special guest with me. We're going to be talking about AI discoverability, how brands get found in 2025, and as a matter of fact, beyond. So I'm going to hand it over to her to introduce herself. So, Melina, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Milana, and I own Ecco Consultants and also BAIV Visible. I help people become visible in this awesome AI world that we're in. You know, things have switched over from SEO over to AI search tools. And yeah, so that's what I do. I've owned a digital marketing agency for several years before I pivoted over into focusing on AI search. So super excited to be here today though and talk about this topic. So pretty passionate about it.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much. Before we jump right into it, let us start from the very top, right, or from the very beginning. What is AI discoverability? What does that even mean for businesses and brands?
It's a really good question because a lot of people are asking that question. You know, if you own a business, you are probably familiar, or a website, you're familiar with the term SEO, which was showing up on Google's first page when somebody would put in a keyword or put in a search in Google. And that's up until now what we focused on. We would optimize our websites for that and really try to build up our rankings and show up on that first page. But now we have these different search tools. So you can now search on ChatGPT, for example, or Perplexity, or even Chrome, or Gemini, right, within Google. And so the question is how we show up in those answers. And that's really what AI visibility is now pivoting over what we need to do to be able to show up in those answers. And really what goes into that is your full AI visibility or discoverability there. So lots of different terms too that you'll hear right now, AEO, CEO, right, to make things even more
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
confusing, which is why I call it AI visibility. It kind of bottles it all up into one.
Well, true,
um,
true, true. Yeah, yeah. So thank you so much for that intro. I think it really outlines it and makes people understand, what we're going to be getting into as we go along in this podcast. So next, let's talk about how this is different from the traditional SEO. Like, what should businesses be looking out for and how should they approach this?
yeah, so we definitely don't want to forget about SEO. There's still your customers or clients are going to be using Google every once in a while, right? So you want to continue doing the things that you were doing there. But where AI discoverability is concerned, this new world, AI bots are crawling all different kinds of places now. So really it's about kind of creating a strategy and connecting all of those dots together. So just for example, they're going to be crawling your website, but they're also going to be crawling your social media. AI bots and those different AI tools are now looking at Reddit and your LinkedIn, even your Instagram. And so yeah, so you don't want to just focus on just your website anymore,
Website.
right? We're kind of going into this no click era where people aren't, you know, pulling up Google and clicking on the websites because the AI tools are giving you the answers that you need, right? So you're able to ask questions and have discussions with ChatGPT, for example. So we have to optimize for that wherever the AI is looking.
Yeah,
So
yeah. That's amazing, and it just reminds me of there was a business we were dealing with sometime last year. They were running Google ads for them, right? And they came back and like, okay, we're not really getting so much hits on clicks on our Google search and all those things. So I started explaining to them that, hey, like, things are actually changing, right? People can be learning about your business and finding about your business, but not necessarily clicking on things anymore. you
Exactly.
know
Yeah.
so they could ask questions and find out that thing. This goes into the next question I was going to ask, which is how AI sources for its answers. And I know you touched on it a little bit, like your social media and things like that, not just focusing on your website, but can you really expand on it a little bit? It's like, okay, AI is going to be searching for answers, like so for example, if you go into ChatGPT and you ask a question, how does it bring those answers into that chat?
Yeah. So you kind of have to adjust your thinking about this, right? It really is a huge shift from what we're used to. So I kind of, just to make it make a little bit more sense to people, think of it like you're hiring someone. And if you were going to go and ask 20 of their colleagues about them, would you trust someone who got a pretty good review from all 20, or would you trust somebody that got like a perfect review from just one person, right? That's how
True.
AI is working all of this. It values consistency across many different sources. So it doesn't need you to be perfect, right? In just one area. It needs you to be consistent in all different areas. So for example, if somebody comes to ChatGPT and they ask a question about, you know, where can I, let's see, what's a really good one? Where can I get a new HVAC system, in the you live, right? Well,
Yeah.
if HVAC company in that city, in Salt Lake, for example, only has optimized their website, okay, but they're not really showing up on LinkedIn or on Facebook or Instagram, or they're not really doing anything else and putting themselves out there, then that AI is going to go, oh, okay, they're just, they're okay,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But where
Mm-hmm.
maybe your competition is doing all of those things, then AI is going to look at that and go, okay, they are consistently showing up in all of these places. They know what they're talking about, and they're answering the right kind of questions. They know
Questions.
their clients really, really well. So, to answer your question, the very first thing that you want to look at is your customers. You need to know, like, exceptionally well who your customers are. That is the very first thing that I tell all of my clients. That's the first thing that we do is, and it's funny because with AI, and you probably hear this a lot, but people are super worried that AI is going to, kind of take out that human layer of interaction and
Yeah.
and things, right? Do you hear that
Yeah.
sometimes?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
And like
worry.
even so that human element is always going to be there. And for people that worry, I just saw something on X that Elon Musk posted saying that AI and robots is going to replace our jobs entirely, that human beings will now have the option whether you want to work or not, just like growing your own vegetables or going to the store to buy your vegetables, right? So that those kind of things adds to the fear that people have in terms of like how AI is going to do. But like one thing we know for certain is, yeah, AI is definitely going to take away some jobs, replace jobs, but at the same time more jobs are still going to be created,
Mm.
right? So we're going to move into a place where we have new types of jobs that, never even existed coming up. There was one of the jobs that I saw that was very funny. It was AI whisperer.
I love it.
Things like that. That thing did not exist 5 years ago, and we're having those kind of things. So yeah, thank you
Yeah.
for sharing that. Now is
kinds of things, right? It really does. But I think at the end of the day, really what this is going to do is we're actually going to become more connected to the people that we're trying to serve. Like,
Sure.
really, we have to get to know who they are, especially right now where we're also used to Google, all of the analytics and the tools that we've had up until this point that have told us exactly, right? Well, here's your business and this is how many keywords you're ranking for. Right
Yeah.
now, we don't have that information, right? These search tools haven't opened that up to us.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
can make guesses and kind of do some data engineering to get
Mm-hmm.
numbers. But the truth is that there's about 80% of the customer journey that's underwater right now because they're asking several questions before they actually get to us, right? It just kind of
Sure.
depends on their journey. So, for example, you might come in and you've got a pain in your foot or something like that, but you don't quite know
Mm-hmm.
how you have it or what it is or what you need to do. So they kind of start, well, I've got this pain in my foot, it's in my arch, right? That's their first question. And then the second question just kind of is that discovery question. They find out what it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
And maybe it can just be solved with an orthotic or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then GPT is going to now direct them to the best orthotic for that pain in their foot that they can put in their shoe. But we don't necessarily know what those questions are. We don't have a tool from ChatGPT that's like, these are the exact questions that they asked before they came to your website and bought that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why we have to really get to know our customers, look at our Google My Business and the reviews that are being left. Go to Reddit and see what kinds of questions are being asked by your ideal customers. Talk to our customers, right? Really talk to people and say, hey,
Mm-hmm.
how did you do this? What did you ask ChatGPT? It could be as simple as that. And so we're really going to get to know them. And then we're able to kind of put these puzzle pieces together and start answering those questions. So we'll answer those questions on our website by using FAQs. AI loves FAQs because
FAQs. Yep.
question answer format, right? So before with SEO, we would just build a website, put our FAQs on the website, and be done and
And
not
that's
look at
done.
it until the next time we added a service or something like that. But now
Yeah.
it's a good tool for you to be able to use and update every time you find out maybe a new question that somebody asks. And or answer that question on your Instagram post one day, right? Because AI is going to now put together all of these dots and they're going to say, okay, they're consistently answering this question in all of
Mm-hmm.
these spaces. I feel really comfortable now using them to cite them as the answer there when people ask that question. So that's kind of the best place to start is with just getting to know your customers really, really well.
And the thing is, that is such a basic thing, and even in marketing, right? So part of the things I would tell people that AI and stuff like that, yeah, it's good. Everybody's trying to, but sometimes you need to get back to the basics. You want to embed AI, you want to implement AI, you want to adopt AI, but do you actually know who your customers are?
Mhm.
What is your ICP? What is that map? How to, and I mean, we can touch more on it, right? Because over time, I've seen that this right here is always like one of the top five problems that businesses, always face is like, who is your customer? Who are you trying to reach? What do they want? What questions are they asking? Have you talked to them? Have you gotten direct feedback and things like that? So, in building all of these FAQs, right? Instead of even trying to just guess, is doing some sort of research. And you can also use AI to do that research as well to help you with those questions. So if you can just touch a little bit about if a business right now wants to map out their ICP, right? What should they do to map out the ICP and come up with like a questions map that kind of thing. Like, what should they do?
Yeah, no, and that's fantastic. And again, you want to, some of the places that I already named, right, is get a little bit creative there as to if you have a Google My Business yet that has reviews, right? Maybe that's not an option for you, right? So Reddit is it's a funny place. Who thought I would be like actually really focused
Yeah,
on, it's a little bit insane, but it makes sense because people are going there, they're asking real life questions about problems that they're,
questions.
and there's people and they're having conversations, people are talking about this, right? So you're going to want to start getting really comfortable on forum sites like that. So Reddit, Quora, even, there's all kinds of forums that have to do with different industries even, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
we have a few that you can go into and there's really good discussions. But yeah, set aside some time every day to spend in those places where people are actually asking questions. If you've been in business for a little while, and you maybe have like a customer service line or something like that, you probably have tons of data just sitting someplace, right?
True,
With
true.
customer calls, customer, concerns or things like that, that you can actually go and stick it into an AI tool and have it filter through and pull those, pain points that your customers are calling and talking about. So, and here's the big thing too, is that a lot of smaller businesses, right, think, oh, the larger businesses have this all figured out, but they don't. At the end of the day, they are
True.
facing the same exact problem right now that you are. And this is, it's leveling the playing field. I mean, you
Mm-hmm.
really want to get on top of this right now because AI is only going back about 10 months looking at content. So they want fresh new content. So where Google was concerned, it was all about authority would help your SEO. So it was really hard to come in and start ranking and get on the first page for a really, hard keyword, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But you really have a good chance to be able to show up in these search tools if you just start, putting these practices into place right now. So yeah, spend the time, get onto the forums, look at those questions, spend some time in social media and just see what people are talking about. TikTok is a fantastic place where people are, so any place people are really, really talking is where you want to be. And you want to, be having those same conversations. So I would say in the beginning, you just want to do a little bit of research, right? You don't need to dive into all of these things all at the same time. You can pace yourself, but just start listening and then, start logging them, writing them down. And it's going to help you in all of the areas all the way across everything. So with content and your social media, you're actually going to find, oh, this isn't so hard now. I now I
Mm-hmm.
have,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
yeah,
True, true. Yeah, so it's good you touched on that because I've funny thing is we're in 2025 and sometimes I see here businesses saying, we don't care so much about social media, we don't want to do anything on social media. Like I was at an event yesterday and I heard somebody saying that, they have clients that want to get off social media because they think that it's not working for them and things like that. Let's talk about some common traps businesses find themselves in, and how we can fix those things. Like what are you seeing teams do wrong right now, and how can they fix it?
yeah, yeah. And that that is it you see that in a lot of places, right? So especially when you're a small business owner, you wear a lot of hats and it's just exhausting. You have to kind of be an expert at all of the different things. And where
Mm-hmm.
when we were focusing on SEO, that social media wasn't such a big player in that. And so it was easy to put that at the bottom of our list and say, okay, well, when I get around to it, I'll go ahead and take care of that, you know. But now it is part of the puzzle of this AI, you know, search. So it is important. And so that's why kind of keeping it balanced, because you want to be consistent. And so using everything that you learn from your discovery about your ICP and then bringing it into these things and just kind of going at it at a more balanced rate is going to do you better in the long run. Because I know it isn't easy.
Sure.
It is easy to do all of these things and it can be really, really overwhelming. So it's just almost like we have to say, okay, is this worth it to us? Is it something that we want to do showing up in these search tools? And if the answer is yes, then we just have to kind of make time for that. So
Okay, for it. Right.
yeah.
Makes
And
sense.
yes, too, just let me say that about social media is that you don't have to hit every single social media platform, right? That's another part of that ICP is if your clientele isn't on LinkedIn, you know, then you don't need to be worrying about that right now, right? So start with
Mm-hmm.
one, kind of build from there so that it's not so much to bite off.
No, it's true. So is I appreciate that. And, find what works for you. It could just be LinkedIn, it could just be TikTok. It could
Yeah.
be YouTube Shorts,
Yeah.
you
Whatever works
know.
for you, right?
Just find what works for you. But again, you got to do a lot of testing, those things. And, it's funny how we're talking so much about AI, and at the same time, we're talking really about basic things in marketing.
Yeah. Exactly. The nice thing is, though, is that now we have AI that can help us, right? So, you know,
True.
yeah, like I always advise my clients pick one platform to be on, right? And you know, maybe you use AI to help you write the posts for, you know, 3 days out of the week. But then 2 days out of the week, you actually do a video and show up authentically you there so that people get to know who you are and what your voice is and about your brand, right? So you don't
Hmm.
have to overwhelm yourself thinking that you've got to post 50 million times a day or, you know, follow all of the crazy strategies that are out there. It's like an 80-20 rule, right? So if you want to use
Sure.
AI to help you 80% of the way, to help you with ideas or hooks or even writing the posts, that's great. But then the other 20% of the time, show up and, you know, just be you. So,
So, it's good you said this right now. So, I think it's something we talked about before, right? That at times AI gets things wrong and
mhm.
misrepresents a brand, right? So, how can businesses or brands fix that thing, right? So if, for example, somebody goes on ChatGPT and asks about your brand or about a product your brand offers or delivers, right, and it
Yeah.
gives them the wrong information, how can you ensure that when people ask questions about your brand, the correct and right information is presented by these AI platforms?
Yeah, no, that's a great. So after you are go through that discovery with your ICP, right? The next thing that you're going to want to do is go on to ChatGPT, Perplexity, Claude, and you're actually going to want to go into each one because the platforms are different. They aren't all run by one system, right?
True.
So you want to see how you show up in each platform. So you're just going to see what AI says about you. Go ahead and start asking questions about what you do. So what's the best, you know, like I'll go back to that HVAC, right? What's the best HVAC company in Salt Lake City? Tell me about, you know, that company. Start asking questions to the AI to see if you show up, first of all, who shows up, because that's your competition. And so you want to see what they're doing. And now a note about that, just because they show up doesn't mean that they're necessarily doing all of the things that we're talking about right now.
Mm-hmm.
It may mean that they just have more of a presence in the different areas right now. And so, that's why AI is pulling them. But note who that competition is so that you can take that into account. And just make it super simple. If you're doing it on your phone, screenshot it and save it into a file so that you can then go back after you've started working on your content and optimizing your website and doing those things, to ask again and see if you're showing up, if the answers are different. So let me give you a quick example of this with somebody that I'm working with. So they are a huge retail company, right? They have like over 400 stores and they've been a partner with Nike for 27 plus years. They went into ChatGPT and said, can you buy Nikes at this store? And ChatGPT's answer was, you don't want to buy Nikes from that store because they are a second-hand store. They are very much not a second-hand store. Okay. So just to show you how a huge company and ChatGPT can get that information wrong, right? So
Mm-hmm.
they and their marketing team freaked out, right? They were like, wait a second, what? And they went in, adjusted the content on their website, worked on some of their FAQs, adjusted the schema markup, those kinds of things. Within 2 weeks, every single platform had the answer correct. So that's the other big change here from SEO to these AI search tools. Is with SEO, right? It was 6 to 12 months before you would even start
True.
seeing
True. Yeah.
yeah. This can happen pretty quickly if you're doing it the right way and optimizing your site and knowing what questions people are asking and what answers are being given. So that's promising and exciting. Especially for those of
Well,
us that in the SEO world and now we're doing this. It's like, okay, awesome.
yeah. It's amazing. It's amazing, really. And that was going to be my next question about sharing a win of how you help the business, fix something with AI discovery. So let me share a win from our own perspective, right? So in January of this year, we launched a new website, right? And, part of the top objectives of the website was to make sure that we are discoverable by AI platforms, right? So 6 months later in June, we did an analysis, half year analysis, and we saw that over 700% traffic increase from AI platforms from January to June. So it meant that, our objective check mark that was done. So before you would have to spend a lot of time, trying to optimize for SEO, following Google up and down, looking for the new algorithm or whatever they have changed in their SEO thing, right? But now is so amazing that you can speak directly. And the fact that not a lot of businesses or companies are doing this right now means that whoever is trying to optimize for these search results now, right, are ahead of the game already.
It's so true. And you're creating habits just from a personal standpoint, right? Of doing this as a business owner. By the time other people get on board with this and they have to start getting their teams or themselves, right? You're doing it. You're used to doing it. You're being consistent. You're adding more things, right? So you're just going to continue to grow and to do better. And it's super rewarding. And it's like, I love your example, within your own, because it's so fun to see. So
Yeah, it is. And when you even see like DeepSeek, DeepSeek that was just launched, within the year is bringing out stuff and like, okay, that's cool.
yeah.
So you know what? Let's do let's give our audience a playbook. Like you want to get started with AI visibility. What are like 4 things you need to do like today, right now.
Yes. Yeah. So, okay. Is it okay if I give you like, but I'll make the first two quick because we've already talked about them. So look at your ICP and then go on to these different tools and find out what is actually being said about you. Okay. And then you're going to start fixing that source of truth, right? You're going to go to your website. You're going to look at your about page. Make sure that all of your information is correct. Okay. Make sure that it matches your Google My Business. Those things are classic SEO things, right? And they still stand true today. You want to make sure that all of your information is the same everywhere. But look at your website, optimize your service pages. FAQs are going to be a huge factor here. If you don't have an FAQ page, go ahead and create just one FAQ page. You don't need to put it at the top of your navigation menu. Go ahead and you can put it in your footer. But make that FAQ page and then go into your pages, your service pages, and add relevant FAQ pages or FAQ questions that fit that page. And don't stop there. Over the next coming weeks, as you discover more things, go ahead and go in there and update that. Don't let it just become stagnant. And then add content to your site. So look for gaps in the market. Look at those competitors that you saw when you were doing your research and go, okay, I can add a case study here on my site that maybe they don't have, that I know people are asking about, right? Or blogs. Blogs are going to be fantastic for you. And you don't need to follow any of the old SEO rules. Just get it out of your head if you're worried about, okay, am I doing a blog too often or not enough? Just start adding content to your site. And then the other thing that you want to do with your site is take a look at the schema. Schema markup's been around for a long time. It was an SEO thing as well. Not everybody practiced it and did it. So it is going to be key now to be able to add that schema, because the AI bots are looking at that. It just makes it really, really easy for them. So make sure your schema is all updated on each page. And even if you're not a technical person, there are tools out there that are free that you can go in and create your schema and then just add it onto your page. Use a plugin in your website or something like that. So I think I even have some videos on that, so I can share that with you. But
Yeah, we can put the video links in the description for the podcast episode. So definitely
perfect.
help.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
I'll share.
amazing.
Yeah. And then the last thing with your website that you want to do is take a look at where your website is being hosted. This is a huge catch right now that a lot of people don't know about just because it's so new. But look at where your site is being hosted at, and you're going to want to search what's being allowed by that host to be crawled. A lot of people are nervous right now, right, about these AI bots. So some of the hosting companies went in. I know SiteGround, when I first started doing this, they had like just a couple of AI bots that they were allowing through. I actually had to ask for permission to be able to let more in. So you're going to want to evaluate that yourself, right, as to what you want crawling your site. I've got a doc on that as well, so I'll share that with you. But just go in, talk to, reach out to your hosting company and just make sure that your site's crawlable if you're wanting to show up in AI search, which a lot of us are right now. So it's a good thing to do.
Sure.
So,
And
yeah.
talking about tools, can you give us some of the tools that people can use to get all of this done?
Yeah. So I actually am creating a tool right now. We launch next week that is just making all of this overwhelm and chaos of this strategy really, really simple for you. You're going to be able to get in that discoverable piece that I kind of talked about at the beginning with the ICP and the gaps in the market and your competition and how you show up. That's the very first thing that you're going to find out right when you log in. And then everything, you'll be able to do it all from that platform, from your own dashboard, your social media, your blogs, your FAQs, your schema, and it even will coach you through everything. So I have to say my tool first.
Yes, please tell us the name of your tool.
Yeah, so it's called BAI Visible. And like I said, we launch in about a week. We have a wait list up right now that has a couple different options for
What's
you.
the
But
website?
yeah, so it's baivisible.ai is the website. And it is what it says it is. So yeah, so that was really fun. Actually, there's not a lot of other tools out there right now, which is why I did this. Is as I was, that's my passion. Is I owned businesses before I ever even got into SEO, right? So, and I got into it later. I was almost 40 years old when I started doing SEO, and the big part of my heart was, at the end of the day, this isn't necessarily about optimizing and what's on your site and these kinds of things. What it is that you want to be able to sell your services, and you want to be able to show up to your customers that are looking for your products, because you know that you're the solution for them. And so I understood, as I really started diving into what this new AI search world looked like, that it was going to be overwhelming to business owners. Even larger business owners, it's overwhelming. I've talked to so many enterprise marketing teams, SEO directors, 15 years, and they said, we're just every single day putting the puzzle pieces together as to what this looks like. So it's confusing for a lot. So yeah, so that's why I created BAIV. We call it BAIV, but it's BAI Visible, just because I wanted people to be able to get in and simply put their strategy together, because even the analytics and everything like that are changing. We can't just rely on the Google Analytics anymore. So yeah, so we have coaching within there to kind of make it all make sense. We even created a school community that you get access to when you subscribe, where we'll have weekly live Q&A sessions that you can join, and actually have me or one of the other two founders on, and be able to kind of walk through what you're navigating in your own business with this. So yeah, so just a really simple place for you to be able to put this strategy together. So that's that tool. There's a lot of separate tools out there right now, right? That you can kind of do pieces of this. So yeah, there's nothing big out there yet that kind of allows you to go into one shop and do everything, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, makes sense, makes sense. And thanks for sharing your tool, because I believe that that is going to help a lot of businesses, get ahead of all of this. And still talking about tools, if you want to do research about your ICP, you can definitely use AI agents that can help you do that. Then there's a platform that we're partners with. It's called Mind Studio. Mind Studio has an awesome AI agent for research, and it's free for people to use. And so if you whatever research you're trying to do, right, just use that tool, and it will give you a well detailed research on any topic, and it will give you the sources where it found those things, and you can even have an audio version of the research delivered to you as well. So amazing stuff happening.
Yeah.
So before we go, just to round up, and now that we're seeing AI visibility at this stage, right? Where do you think it is going to be? What are your projections for the future for AI search and visibility?
Yeah. I think it's going to change a lot. So it changes every single day, and we discover more every single day, just because um there's just not a lot out there still, even as to how it's all operating and working and things like that. So yeah, so I think that, even within the next year, we're going to see a lot more from the product, like the actual physical product side of things, e-commerce, things come through. I know that ChatGPT is a little bit ahead of that and what they're doing there. So that's going to be really, really interesting. And I think that the places that ChatGPT and Perplexity are even crawling and sourcing and citing for us will probably change over time as well. So, right now some of them are Reddit heavy and even Wikipedia, expensive things. So yeah, so it's going to be interesting to kind of watch that and see how that uh, adjusts and changes things. But uh, but I think that video is going to be huge. So if you're not doing video, that's probably going to be something that you want to get comfortable with, whether it's, YouTube or TikTok or wherever you're, kind of feeling comfortable doing that. And even adding video to your website and audio. Audio is going to be huge too, just because so many of us now are searching with audio, right? With that voice recognition and things. So I think those are going to be two big areas where we're going to see AI visibility and search kind of come into play, that we're going to want to make sure that we're including into this strategy as well. So it's going to be fun to
Amazing.
watch.
Amazing. Good stuff. It's even good you talked about audio because we're trying to experiment with something with audio on our website where people can listen to the blog posts that we have on the website as well. So cool stuff. So where can people find you online? So tell us where we can find LinkedIn, social media, whatever. If you want to drop your email, whatever it is, like how can people find you online after this?
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. So yeah, so I'm on LinkedIn. So it's just Milana Thornton. So I'll share my LinkedIn with you. And then I have two websites right now. So we have our BAI Visible .ai website for our tool, and then I have an agency where I do AI visibility for businesses. So that's called Ecco. So it's ECCO AI.ai. So yeah, those are the places. I'm on Instagram.
All right, all right. Thank you so much, Milena, for joining. This was an amazing session, and I think we should do a part two
That would
sometime,
be, there's
right?
so much more, right? Awesome.
Amazing, amazing. So thank you for joining. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Thank you for tuning in. This episode is sponsored by Begin Fusion, your AI operating systems partner for SMEs and B2B teams. So thank you so much. This is one thing about life. Until next time, stay frosty.